of July. And I think, who has the hottest temperature going right now?
I bet Kurt wins.
Dallas?
I talked to Callum yesterday. It was really, really hot.
We're 90 in Chicago.
We're 91 in Columbus, Ohio.
Whoa. Nice.
Yeah.
I just unmuted you, Kurt, if you wanted to say something.
No, I was just 98. 100 tomorrow, though. 100 the next 3 days.
Jeez.
All right, you win.
Where's that?
Coppell, Texas. Northwest side.
Coppell. Dallas area.
Did I say that right? It's Coppell.
Coppell.
That's what I thought it was Coppell. All right. Well, very good. Well, we're going to jump in today. Lindsay's got a couple of announcements, and then we are going to talk about how to promote your Alpha and different ideas. What are some best practices that we can develop as churches that are running Alpha around promotion? And so before we jump into that, Lindsay, why don't you just bring us up to speed on a couple of relevant things that all of our Hub Church directors should know about?
Sure. Just wanted to make sure I sent an email out to you guys earlier this week about promoting your Alpha on the Alpha USA website, or not your Alpha, promoting your trainings on the Alpha USA website. If you guys are getting ready to do a Run Alpha training sometime here within the next month or so, and you would like to have that promoted through our website, I sent an email with kind of all of the steps and procedures for how to do that. We are currently looking at a new event platform that we hope soon we'll be able to host the registrations and things like that for you guys as well. Right now we don't have the ability to do that, but we can provide you with graphics for a digital invite, text for digital invite, and we can get that posted on our Alpha USA website if you guys are interested in that. So take a look at that email if you guys want to do that. And I also wanted to let you know that we are kind of revamping the Run Alpha training kit. The material, the content isn't changing really. It's just the organization and trying to simplify some things. And we're going to be changing it to a different platform. I know Dropbox wasn't an ideal platform. So be watching, I would say, within the next couple of weeks for an email from me inviting you guys to join a group on our Alpha intranet that will allow you to access all of that training information. So just kind of keep your heads up about that kind of thing. So just making sure I understand.
Very good. Any questions for Lindsay before we jump into the skill here today? Everybody got all their resources? Website's working beautifully like a well-oiled machine. Have you seen the new Teams function on Alpha Builder? You can plug in your team members, and all of your team members now have access to be able to see all of the videos and all of their content. Pretty slick. We're also in the process, I'm going to give you some inside scoop here that not everybody knows about. So we're working on some automated coaching emails for later this fall that when you plug in your team members, we'll be able to email coaching tips straight to your team members so that they'll be able to receive those the week that you're doing the appropriate Alpha topic. So, there's specific tips that they would want to receive each of the different weeks, and we thought it would be great to be able to offer that to make all of the people who run Alpha make their life a little bit easier when it comes to communication and coaching. So that's in the works, that's in the development, and we're excited to hopefully be able to roll that out later this fall and early 2018 for sure. And just a reminder, if you're on the call, and particularly if you're on a phone, if you have a question or whatnot, make sure to unmute. But if you're just listening, if you could make sure to mute so we don't pick up background noise, that would be fantastic. So welcome again. We've got two churches today that we're going to be interviewing and asking about how they do promotion and how they get the word out about Alpha. And so Kurt Clements, who we were just connecting with here earlier down in Coppell, Texas, which is outside of Dallas, is at St. Anne's Church. Kurt, could you just do a quick 30-second to 1-minute introduction of you and your church? Give us a picture of what we would experience if we came to St. Anne and came to your Alpha.
Oh, we've been running Alpha for we're finishing our 5th pass through, our 5th set of courses. We've had about 600 people go through 700 people go through Alpha over the last year and a half. I think the thing that is probably different about St. Anne than a lot of the way, like at least Catholic churches will run it, is we're not just running it as one of many programs. I mean, really, it's about culture transformation. It's central to the whole direction of our parish, and it is. At the beginning of this summer, we have about 150 guests going through the course, and we had 70 people on our team, and we were training them. And I looked out, and it was like almost all new people that just a year ago, because everybody in churches are like, it's the same people who do everything, who serve, who give, who come to classes or whatever. And people bemoan that fact. But of course, with Alpha, it's just brought forth such a beautiful crop of faith-filled people who have encountered the Lord. And so, yeah, it's just been, we're trying to really run it at a really high level of quality. We're always talking to Callum, always talking to everybody else to continue to tweak and make the experience is the best experience possible for people who come and experience Alpha here at St. Anne. So
that's great. Good introduction, man. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
We also have Gavin at Rock Harbor. And Gavin, would you introduce your guest who's with you as well on the call today?
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Zachariah. He is an apprentice with us here at Rock Harbor. He does half Alpha, half pastoral care. So he'll be sitting in on these. And then just a bit about Rock Harbor. We are on our we just finished our 27th Alpha, going on 28 in the fall. And then we're about on par with Kurt as well. I think we probably saw around 750-ish people this year between our 3 courses. So, things are going well. Things are running smoothly. We're working on some new projects to hopefully increase our capacity and our reach and the local community and beyond with churches, et cetera. So it'll be a good season.
Excellent. Very good. Well, we're gonna put you guys on the hot seat today, both of your churches. And one of the things that we do is an event called Experience Alpha. And Experience Alpha is an opportunity for church leaders across the country to be able to go and see a best practice Alpha. And both of your churches are actually in the works for putting together plans for a future Experience Alpha. And so we've always gotten such incredible feedback from churches that have seen Alpha running at Rock Harbor and then also at Vintage Church. And you'll have an opportunity to meet Beth Pryor on future calls, who is our hub church director at Vintage in Santa Monica. And we're super excited to also visit Kurt and St. Anne's with a future Experience Alpha. And we're just in the very beginning stages of putting that together. But it's a great opportunity for churches to come and see what you guys are doing. So I just want to say thank you. I know it takes some time and effort on your part to accommodate a group of, it's about 40 people or so, maybe upwards of 50 at max, to come in and sit in on your Alpha. But I tell you what, the fruit that is coming out of that is absolutely tremendous. And so when we talk about promoting Alpha, I mean, that's certainly one of the ways that you guys are a part of that. And so high fives to you for allowing us to showcase what God's doing right in your midst. And so let me just ask you, Gavin, you guys you're on your 27th Alpha. And of course you're somewhat new to the team, and they've run for years and years before. How do you guys frame promotion at the individual level? When we talk about promotion, there's probably several different levels. There's like social media level, corporate level within your church, the individual level, maybe even out in the community. How do you do promotion? I'd love to just start and ask you, how do you frame up promotion and get your people to promote Alpha at the individual level?
Yeah, that's something we've been experimenting with a little bit. I think the last 2 courses between Leif and I have kind of taken a different route in that what the feedback we've received from our questionnaires at the end of the course is like 3 out of 4 people basically come to Alpha because they're invited by a friend. And it's not the website, it's not social media, but the primary thing is a verbal invitation to Alpha. And so with that type of information, we really pressed into our congregation by instilling a bit of accountability in like a graceful, kind, compassionate manner, but really putting the ball in their court and saying, look, if we truly have a heart for the lost, like we say we do, this is our best avenue to bring people into community at Rock Harbor. And it seems to be working, and we have momentum with it. And so what we try to do is raise that accountability and let them know chances are you have a neighbor or a coworker or a family member who you've had these types of conversations with. This is your opportunity to invite them into the church. And we frame it, I think, in a way in order to kind of catalyze action out of it, basically. So we're not just saying, hey, we're running a course, you guys should invite people. Because I probably wouldn't invite people if it was framed to me like that. So what we do is we own our own stuff. And I mean, from stage, I was vulnerable and said, you know what? I haven't been the best at inviting people to Alpha. I kind of do a one-off of like, hey, this is something I run. You should come check it out. And if someone extended that to me, I wouldn't go. I'd be like, yeah, okay, maybe see you there. But if I explained to someone what it was and I was really intentional about it and said, hey, this is something that I help run, I really truly believe in, I think it would be something you would enjoy going to. Would you just join us for a meal? And if you don't like it, you don't have to come back. Give them a way out, something like that. So I think what's been helpful is to just acknowledge that we haven't truly been inviting people into Alpha. It looks very differently than just a flippant comment of like, hey, come check it out. Because at least for millennials and myself, that doesn't really go very far.
Yeah. So do you give them any tools? Do you do like little invite cards or what kind of practical things do you guys do? And
totally.
what I was just helping one of our church planters decide what to put on their card. Like, what are the phrases that you put on the card in print?
Yeah, so we give them a card on seats, and then we have them handed out and all over the church, really, for anyone to grab. But on the front, what it is, it's a picture of a group of people laughing, having a cup of coffee or something. So we're trying to emulate the principles of hospitality, of community, of conversation, etc. And on the front of that, the question, is there more to life than this, is on that. And the Alpha logo, of course. And then on the back, there's about a 3-sentence summary of what Alpha is.
Ooh, do you know what that 3-sentence summary is?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I could try to find a card line.
Send Zachariah, man. Go track one down. Bring one back.
Yeah, I got you. You try in the front or something, or upstairs. Yeah, so we have about a 3-sentence paragraph, I guess you would call it.
Okay, while Zachariah's gone, what do you really want to tell us about?
Yeah, let me give you guys the down low on Zachariah. Yeah, so that card really is very basic information that explains what it is. We're not trying to pull a bait and switch by any means. So we're very straightforward with, it's an 8-week course. This is what you can expect on night 1. And these are the types of questions we're asking. I think it's like 3 components that we include in it. But yeah, we make sure to get that in as many people's hands as possible. We explain it as an invitation card. So take this card with you. It's not for you. It's for someone who you're going to invite. So take this home, think of the person who you're going to invite, and explain it to them and give them this card so that they kind of have a save the date, basically.
Yeah. That's good. I remember one time being in church and they had us just hold on to the cards, and like we just had a prayer moment. Like, okay, I want you to just think, who are you going to hand this card to? Who's this? Like, this card's not meant to live in your hand. It's going to somebody else. So who's it going to? And let's pray for them right now. And like that just like kind of cemented in for so many people. Like, okay, yeah, I gotta make sure this is not meant to live, with me.
Yep.
So that card. Well, okay. Well, cool. Well, we'll come back to it. Very curious to see if he's able to find one and bring it down, because I think sometimes just the wording that people put on there, you might have a nuance that somebody else says, "Oh my gosh, that's worded really well." So, how about you, Kurt? What do you guys do to try to promote through individuals? What have you learned?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot to add to that. I mean, except that, you know, in a Catholic setting, it's so foreign. You know, it's such, like, people just aren't in the mindset of, even if they were in the mindset of invitation, we don't have programs that you would invite somebody to that is kind of on the periphery in some way, you know. So it's been such a culture shift, and and it's mostly just been through the organic experience of people who have experienced Alpha, who it's raised up a whole new crop of people that have that charism and are just amazing at welcoming people. So we don't have any, I think, techniques beyond what's been said. I mean, we do have kind of one weekend where we have testimony incorporated into the homily, and we have people handing out cards at the exits that are not meant for them as much as to go and invite others. You know, although for us, you know, we've really wrestled with, you know, people are always curious, like, who is the target audience of Alpha? You know, and while we always have a mind's eye towards those outside the church, we really are kind of trying to balance, like, we want it to be culture transformation. Like, we want everybody in our parish to go through Alpha, you know, because so many Catholics haven't been evangelized really well, and definitely haven't experienced the Holy Spirit in the way that had been filled with the Holy Spirit. So, like, we want everybody, you know, we want everybody in our parish, but at the same time, we're trying, like, I feel like there's three main groups of people that we're dealing with. One is your total insiders, and that's been probably about 40% of the people coming to Alpha. Probably about 40% who are, they come to Mass out of obligation, but they're really on the sidelines, like nothing beyond going to Mass. And then we have about 20% that are completely outside the church, you know, from all kinds of backgrounds. And so, you know, we are always trying to assess, like, for the longest time, we would hear everybody in the church say, well, that's only for all of those beginners, babies, you know, people who need the basics. It's not for me. I'm, you know, a strong Catholic, you know. And so we're like, no, we really need these people to encounter the Lord, like, evangelize. So this last round, the people who gave testimony were like lifelong Catholics who have led things, who were sharing the transformation they've experienced through Alpha. So now with this course, we have a whole bunch of, like, church people, you know. It's like, so for us, I mean, it's promoting Alpha. It's mostly just been the organic people having a beautiful experience and being excited to share it with others. And we've done, I mean, I love the card idea, but that's basically it.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I think it's so important just to remember that the main way people tend to come is always when somebody can come alongside as an individual, and it's a trusted friend, or it's somebody that, you know, isn't too weird, right? That you think is not too weird. That you'd say, yeah, I would go there, and I would check this out. And so, in any way that you can motivate the team members to take on the responsibility to go out and be the inviters, it's going to pay off. And particularly, that's just such an important part of envisioning your team to say, look, we're going to promote it from the stage on Sunday mornings. We're going to do some social media. But really, what we're trying to build here is a culture of invitation and a culture of hospitality where you can invite anybody from any background, and you know they're going to be honored and respected. And so I think that's such an important piece, is to mobilize your team members and even the hosts to say, hey, hosts, it's really your dinner party. So, you know, you want to have people at your party, so make sure you invite people to come.
Yeah.
And you take on the responsibility of filling your group. Don't wait for people to just magically show up. The people that you want to see life transformation in, pray for them now in the 2 months leading up to launch, and you go invite them.
Somewhere along the lines, somebody led us into training initially, and led us through, like, the experience of watching that, you know, the video of the starfish kind of video, you know that, right? everybody's familiar with the story of the starfish. And we'll have everybody at the start of our training say, you know, think of everybody you can possibly think of, you know, who, you know, just you would love to experience the joy of just community and friendship, and come up with as many people as you can think of, you know, one person per Post-it, you know, and, you know, having them all just fill the board with everybody they can think of that in their neighborhoods, in their families, in their schools, and think of as many people they can think of, you know. And then later on, towards the end of the night, you know, to go and pray for them, and then they go and, you know, take those with them. And now those are the people they have. They're kind of tasking them, like helping them be very concrete about thinking about who are those people in my life that like God has in my circle of influence, you know. So yeah, that's kind of an activity somebody led us through that was got people thinking, you know.
That's great. Well, I think always keeping Alpha through the lens of your best non-Christian friend. If they come, what are they going to experience?
Yeah.
Is so important, because I know I've been praying for Bill and Susie. I've invited them a couple of times. They're not there yet. You know, I'm going to keep inviting them. And when I show up to that Alpha, what do I want that experience to be like? You know, we know if it's a welcoming environment, it's going to be a home run. So great. Well, I think, does anybody else have any other, like, oh my gosh, this is such a different idea around individual promotion? But if you do, just throw it in the chat window, and we'll make sure to come back to you. Let's talk a moment just about how do you make the pitch on the stage, right? How do you cast an invitation to the entire church? What works and what doesn't work? Because the way that you talk about this in front of the church really creates the mindset of what Alpha is and who that intended audience is supposed to be. So, and we'll open it up here too. I'd love to hear, Gavin, what you guys, you know, what are some specific nuances that you've learned about how you talk about Alpha in making a corporate promoted ask?
Yeah, so we do 3 stages of announcements, the 3 Sundays leading into our launch. The first, we do a small announcement. It's really just a mention. And then the second is our biggest push. So traditionally in the past, what we've done is testimonies. So we'll get a male and a female up on stage and ask them what their preconceptions before Alpha were, whether they were a believer or not, what they thought about church, and really just get a pulse of what was preventing them from pressing in prior to coming to Alpha. And then we'll ask them what brought them to Alpha, usually as a friend or a family member who dragged them along. Or they'll say, sometimes we announce it as a free meal. So they'll go, I just came for the free food, and they stuck around. And then we go into what their experience was like from there, and how their expectation of what they thought it would be changed to what their actual experience was. So the testimonies have been really impactful for us. We've seen a large spike in times we've done testimonies and times how we have not. Another thing we've done is testimony video, so a more creative approach to it. That's something our community is very keen on. And that, I would say, has been equally successful if it's done right or done well. But ultimately, at the heart of it all is testimonies. So our big announcement is entirely around what people's experiences were, so that it's not just us up on stage communicating what Alpha is and then calling people to invite. But it's someone who is genuinely excited about it and saying, you guys have to experience this. You have no idea what you're missing out on. Trust me, I just went through it. Here's my life before and here's my life after. Sometimes people are baptized out of it, and we get up on stage and they're like, my life is just radically different. And so much that I made the decision to get baptized out of Alpha. And that gets people excited, because they'll go, oh, I have a family member who's in that stage of life, or I know someone like that, or that's me. I totally identify with that. I don't want to do these things, but this seems like something I could step into. So the power of story is radical for us. And then out of that, on our 3rd week of announcements, we do like a medium announcement where we kind of refer back to the previous week, and then basically invite them to come 2 days later, because it's on Tuesday. So
Mm-hmm.
That's the stage that we go through. I think at the heart of it all is just story. I think story goes along.
So how long does that take within your service when you budget out that time?
About 5 minutes. Yeah, the big announcement, we try to stay close to 5 minutes. I think last time we did like 8, which celebration team was not happy about. But yeah, you want enough time basically to explain their journey. You really want to capture their journey well, the before, during, and after, and do it justice.
Gotcha. That's cool. Now,
hey, John, could I ask a question on that real quick?
Please do jump in.
When do you guys do when you have the cards and you have them pray over them? Which week is that?
We do that the second week.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if there's a holiday like Easter, for example, we always have Alpha cards on seats for Easter, whether or not it falls on that second week, but definitely on the second week, yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, and at any time on the call, if you ever want to jump in or you have a question, just jump in just like Matt did, and that's totally allowable. Very, very helpful. I think one thing that's been kind of on my heart and mind, I'm sure this is not a brand new idea. Some of you are probably like, duh, John, this is like so fundamental, is when you share those stories, I think it's always important to have at least one person who didn't come to faith. But who can still say, I loved Alpha. This was such an awesome opportunity for me to be able to explore this. I'm not sure really where I'm at still, but I liked the experience. I would invite my friend, or, just so that if there are people sitting in the audience hearing that who are not Christian, maybe they're super skeptical. They're like, okay, well, all right, they really aren't out on a witch hunt to really, Ned Flanders me and, get me into the kingdom. And so as much as you can make it a safe promotion with those live stories, and really, if any of you have those types of videos or stories captured from folks that had a great experience but didn't come to faith, we want to know about those. Like, we would love to curate those and make some of those available. Obviously with discretion and whatnot, because if it's your neighbor, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you're all over the internet now. But that would never happen. But we would love to make some of those available, because I think those can be really powerful videos as well.
Yeah, John, on that's absolutely true. We try to typically balance between one person who had a radical encounter and one person who was just kind of like, I've been a Christian, but this helped me take another step, basically. Because if Alpha is truly for everyone, that includes believers. And so we definitely try not to overemphasize the radical transformation. Because then people are like, well, I'm not an alcoholic, so I guess it's not for me. That's not going to be my journey. So it's important to include the normal, I guess, all that to say.
Yeah. And who does the interviewing?
Either myself or our campus pastor.
Okay. And during that Sunday service, are they referencing Alpha? Because I think it's important for the campus pastor or whoever's giving the talk that day, whoever's perceived as like the authority type person for the community, to kind of put their stamp of approval on it and say, oh man, if you haven't done Alpha, we want everybody to do Alpha. This is a place where you can invite your friends to come and explore faith. Always framing it and like, this is a place where you can come, you can bring your friends to explore faith. Any of you have any trouble getting your senior leader to talk about Alpha during their message? Like you do it during the announcement time and you get your 5 minutes, but like, any of you have difficulty just getting, like, would you please just say the word Alpha? Like, say you like it. Do something. Okay, so Gavin, yes. Anybody else? Or everybody else is like, no, they talk about it all the time. Any of you learn any good ways to get your senior leader to share vocally their support for Alpha on those important days? Do you pay them to give them
make them experience Alpha and be a group leader and to see the fruitfulness firsthand. I think that's for our pastor. I mean, he's 71-year-old priest that, has just kind of caught fire but really just seeing the fruit of it, he's just, he said, I've been in enough situations where I see people coming to me and they're, the way they kind of come for confession or their attitude towards their faith and like what the fruit that's coming from the people through Alpha and the honesty, the culture. He's just, man, he just was sold. It's just, it was experiencing it that really won him over.
Yeah.
But that's always a tricky thing, getting your pastor to make being a part of an Alpha group a priority.
Yeah. Well, I know, having been a pastor, one of the things that is always very enticing is to say, hey, I don't know if you need any sermon illustrations or stories that are your own. Like, you met this person, you watched the transformation, you can talk about them. Like, I think every pastor loves to be able to share their own personal story of evangelism or, just seeing it firsthand. What if we could give you the next 6 months of stories firsthand, it would only take you a few hours. Like, just come and hang out in a group, be a helper, and be in touch, know what people are asking, and watch what happens. Like, you will have stories to tell for years to come. And I think that's really one of the things that we can do to entice the communicators. And because they're super busy, but they're always looking for a good return on their investment of time. And so it's like, look, you're going to be telling these stories forever, and you're going to be able to motivate so many people to ask questions and to do all the things that you're constantly teaching. So it might be one simple tool to consider. But man, Kurt, you are spot on. Get that, if they can speak from a place of authenticity where they've seen it themselves, then gosh, it really takes off. And of course, sharing those stories throughout the year when they're not even really promoting Alpha. They're just talking about, oh man, I was in this Alpha group and, sitting with Nancy, and she asked the most burning question and she was in tears. And it just, they're just mentioning Alpha. That's some of the best culture creating promotion you can get, which is really exciting. Cool. Any other questions, or anybody else have real success with corporate promotion or questions around that?
I would have to say, can you hear me?
Hey, Ian.
Hey,
yes.
How are you doing? Yeah, I would have to say we are still on the very beginning end of learning how to do this well. So the examples that have been shared have been really good. I think we're still at the place where, Alpha is seen as a bit of a silo, but we're expecting that to change because our senior pastor is going to be participating in one of the Explore Alpha conferences. So just throw that out there. If you could pray that would really be an amazing experience. And I feel like it will really change things around here if that's the case, because it will move it from being just one of the programs among many to something that will actually grow in importance. So I feel like there's a lot of excitement here in our team waiting to see this happen. But of course, not suggesting that, the pastor, the key pastor is the guy who's going to make it all suddenly magically happen. So making lots of notes as you share. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, hey, you mentioned Experience Alpha. Danielle Kemp, who is on our team, she really oversees this effort. Danielle, why don't you just give us a quick, we'll do like a little commercial break here and talk about Experience Alpha and what is it? How do people sign up? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Ian.
Hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, we're excited that your senior pastor is coming to London with us in September. And that was a good promotion, actually, for Experience Alpha events that we're having. The London trip is, I think if you've been on it, you will know that it's just Todd likes to call it magical because everybody comes back and just is really excited and inspired. And so if your lead pastor has not attended an EA, I would really encourage you, especially the London one, because they will come back with a renewed excitement for Alpha. We also have these Experience Alphas that we're doing stateside. We have one coming up in New York. I believe, Ian, you're coming to that one.
Well, Renee is.
Yeah. Oh, Renee's coming. Okay, great. And then Southern California with Rock Harbor and Vintage Church. And these are just opportunities, even for you, if you feel that you're, that you're struggling a little bit, or you're trying to realize what it can look like. This is an opportunity for you and your team to come and just really see some of these hub churches in motion, an opportunity for your team to just experience and see what could actually be. And it's also an opportunity for, if you're extending out to other churches in your area, to invite those leaders to come and experience Alpha. So a lot of these Experience Alpha events, we are targeting some churches that are not even running Alpha in their churches now. But we're also encouraging those that are currently running Alpha but just need maybe a little bit more inspiration, or just seeing some of these key hub churches, how they're running it, like a Rock Harbor or a Vintage Church LA. And then in March of next year, we're doing one with Kurt in Dallas, a Catholic EA. So excited about that.
That's great. Now, how much does this cost to go to one of these awesome events? Like, I would be super thrilled to go, but how much is it?
Yeah, you can write your check to Danielle Kemp. It's just a couple $100 each. No, I'm just kidding. It's completely free to attend the event. There's no cost to come to the program itself, except for your own airfare and getting there, and your hotel and lodging. But the event itself is free, and many of the meals we provide for you as well.
That's cool.
Danielle?
Yes.
I have a question. I did Experience Alpha, and I wanted to know, the ones that you're having in the United States, are they going to be the same format, basically going through like a mock training and the prayer ministry kind of thing?
Yes, it'll be a little bit different than what you experienced in London. It's a little bit shorter, so it's about a day and a half. And what you'll do is you will experience an Alpha. You will go and attend an Alpha at the church. In Southern California, you'll actually experience 2 Alphas. We're going to experience an Alpha at Rock Harbor Church, and then at Vintage Church LA. And in between those times, we'll have talks on Alpha culture. We'll have opportunities for you to ask questions, and then there will be a prayer ministry time. Garrett Jones at Vintage Church leads that for us up in LA. So it's an incredible experience. It's not really a full-on training, kind of what John comes in after the fact and gets everybody together and gets them ready to go. This is really just for people to experience and be a part of what an Alpha looks like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Danielle, do you know any of the dates, like, specifically?
Yeah, I do. I can actually. I would just say I'll send those links, Danielle, if you want, the registration links. But if you know the dates, you can go ahead and tell them. I can send you guys the registration links for each of the US EAs with the recording of the call after this.
Yeah, so the one in Southern California is October 10th and 11th, and then the one in New York City is October 16th and 17th.
Great. And if you have those links, Lindsay or Danielle, if you don't want to just pop them into the chat window,
I have them.
Ready to see. I bet somebody would even sign up right now. Who knows? All right. Well, thank you for that. Experience Alpha is a great event. I love being a part of it, and it's always fun to see how people do prayer ministry. I always love to see the different ways that happens. And so for those of you that are newer with Alpha, can't recommend it enough. So, hey, I want to talk real quick about just ideas to get Alpha promoted out in the community. So, because we know that the sweet spot for Alpha is really in getting those folks that aren't just churchgoers, but that really would never come to a church. So anybody on the call, Gavin, I'll let you speak to this. Kurt, you as well. Do you guys do anything do you put flyers up in coffee shops or in bars or wherever else? Like, where are you promoting outside of the walls of the church? Do you do anything? Has anybody done anything like that?
We don't really, I mean, other than like when it comes to reaching people outside of the church, it's mostly the personal invitation and
Mm-hmm.
you know, like the reality is right now all of our courses are here at the church, and I don't know that somebody's going to come to the grounds of the Catholic. I mean, I think the hit rate's going to be pretty low. I mean, as far as like print materials and coffee shops, you know, and we're looking at options for hosting a course off campus at a you know, a place that's attractive to be a little bit more outreach and to reach beyond the church crowd a little better in the future. But when it comes to, at this point, I mean, other than having a banner on the road and having a digital presence, yeah, we don't really have anything that we've done yet, but definitely open to ideas.
Yeah, for us, we've been exploring social media a lot after going to Experience London with you, John. I think that the contextual equivalent of them using the tube or the subway and using bus stops and apartment buildings for a more suburban location, and at least honestly just American culture at large, is social media. So we took the video that we made in winter and blasted that over Facebook, Instagram, and then really encouraged our leaders to share it as well. I think in a week we got, it was either 25,000 or 30,000 hits. So yeah, it spread like wildfire. Is crazy, and like 27 shares or something like that. So and that was our biggest course, I think, to date. After we did that, I don't know if, I suspect there's a relationship there, but maybe there's not. So social media was definitely one that we're like, yeah, let's try this out, and it seemed to work quite well. And then the other thing that we're still working on, but started as well, is getting on college campuses. So specifically in the fall, when students are coming back to school and there's all these like back to school activities that they're looking for, we're trying to get on campus there. Basically, we're in the center of like 5 universities. And so if we can grab hold of people where 75% of them leave the faith in this stage of life, that's a good place to be. So working on that. And then, yeah, we drop flyers from time to time in public places, but sometimes people get a little upset about that. So we try to keep it a little more personal rather than just memorabilia. But on that same note, we also are just trying to get exposure, so that when people see the branding, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Where have I seen that? And they look into it. So part of it is just exposure, and part of it is also that one-on-one interaction that we're going after. Yeah,
that's good. I know Beth, who's at Vintage, they are actually going to be putting, you know, some stuff in the local, what is it, Lindsay, the local newspaper, the Santa Monica Register. I think they're going to get an ad there. They're going to do some social media stuff, and they're actually putting together a social media kit, 3 different like Facebook banners or Instagram banners. That this is really their instead of giving invite cards, they're giving each of their people on their team 3 different posts that they can actually post to Facebook or to Instagram or to Twitter or whatnot. So they just do the work for the folks, so that you know, they don't post some really wonky, weird, you know, articulation of what Alpha is. They're like, here, just say this, copy and paste into your browser, and then you'll be all set to go. And so, yeah, they're equipping their team with social media tools. So it's not just coming from the church. Again, it's utilizing that individual horsepower where people can be throwing it up all over the feeds and everything else, and tagging people, you know, like, hey, you should totally check this out. And, you know, so I think social media really is, there's just a tremendous amount of power to that. And for a very small price, you can actually get targeted Facebook ads.
Yeah, I was going to say that, John. When I say social media campaign, I mean we did paid advertisements, so it shows up on people's feeds, and we targeted a specific demographic with keywords, ages, location, et cetera, et cetera. So it wasn't, those hits weren't just organic. Hey, everyone share this. This was like very strategic. We're going after this group of people in this location that have these likes, et cetera, et cetera. So campaign equals paid advertisement, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little creepy what we can do with social media nowadays. If anybody's seen the Edward Snowden, movies with internet privacy, which, by the way, Zechariah, you kind of have like a Edward Snowden kind of look, man. You just need like the glasses, and then
I got the specs here, mate. I just don't have the.
Oh my gosh, there they are. There he is. It's Edward Snowden. No, but I think taking advantage of that social media is so important, especially to be able to reach younger crowds and maybe even people that are just a little bit isolated, that it's a little awkward to have an actual face-to-face conversation with, but it's so natural and normal to have, a social media invite to somebody with. So, which is ironic in our day and age, but that's the reality of how we communicate nowadays. So, well, that's super helpful. And, I think as much as we can really begin to just turn the gears of those three things, thinking through the individual, how can we equip the individual? How can we set up the ask on stage, on Sundays in an appropriate way, sharing stories that appeal to not just the church member, but also the person sitting in the seats that maybe they're exploring. And I think the trick there is enlisting that person. How do you turn the person who's a skeptic into an inviter? Because they may be the one with the most friends outside of church. And so I think whenever we talk about Alpha from the front, we always say, hey, Alpha is a place where you can invite your friends or invite people to come and explore faith. And when we do that, we're not just targeting and saying, hey, you should come and explore faith. Then you just get the addition of them, but you can get the multiplication factor if you say, look, Alpha is a place where you can invite your friends. Then all of a sudden the seeker who's sitting there becomes an inviter. And they don't feel targeted. They're like, oh yeah, I think I do know people who'd like to explore faith. And yeah, I think I'd like to explore faith. So you get them and their friends. And so, really thinking through creatively how you can do that in a corporate sense. And then finally, just leveraging the power of social media. I think those three things are super important. And also, just a couple of other things you may not be aware of. The YMCA, if you're looking for a place in your local community to run outside of your church walls, YMCAs are typically very open to inviting people, and they may even do some promotion for you to the members that attend the YMCA. They'll put up bulletins, they'll blast it out on their email communication to all their people. And so if you're looking to do a totally raw, community, missional focused Alpha, you might consider the YMCA. You might consider doing it in a local bar that's not busy on a Wednesday night and say, hey, what if we could bring some customers your way? What if we could, make sure that you've got a good buzz going on here, just with people, and we could fill this place up. A lot of times they'll put stuff up, they'll announce it, on their busy nights. Hey, you should come out on Wednesday night. We're doing this thing called Alpha. It just never ceases to amaze me, some of the stories that I hear of places that are leveraging the power of other groups that actually become their promoter for them. And when you get other people talking about Alpha, that's when it really begins to grow and multiply. And that's why that whole session on why should we tell others is so important to do when you run Alpha, because it builds the culture that, hey, this is what we do. We tell other people. And that's part of our responsibility as Christ followers, is to tell other folks. So great. Well, we talked a ton. Does anybody, I want to just make sure that the last 7 minutes here, we have plenty of time for questions or other things, maybe a story where you're like, hey, I just got to share this. This was super awesome. What happened to my Alpha? Anybody want to chime in? The rest of the time is yours.
John, I would just say one thing. They were talking about the cards. One of the things we did, we took statements from the feedback forms and we put them on the back of our cards, about 4 statements. Of course, I contacted the people and asked if they had, if they would give us permission. And we also use some of that information in our marketing materials at church. So people said, you know, I had an experience that I never had before. I got closer to Christ, or I haven't looked at a Bible in years, and Nikki really influenced me to do this. Just brief kinds of things. And I think that was pretty effective.
Thanks. That's Jackie, right?
Right.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. Anybody else? Something that's worked for you, a question that you have, doesn't even need to be related to promoting your alpha. It could be around anything.
I do have a question to the group about when you are opening up the invitation to just about anybody, are you flexible with how long into the course you let people come in just for one night? We've typically tried to push everybody to the celebration night or the kickoff night, because we found that if anybody comes to the kickoff night, they're probably guaranteed to want to take the course. That just seems to be like a 99% success rate, just to drive people to the celebration night, the kickoff dinner. But some of the ways you guys talked about your publicity made me question whether you allow people to just jump in at any point throughout the course. Can you speak to that? Especially as just an initial experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for us, the cutoff that we typically do is after week 3, including launch. We don't encourage people to join after that for a number of reasons. One, the group dynamic is beginning to form, and there's some vulnerability being built. We don't want anyone to interrupt that. 2, we don't want the guests to feel like they don't know what's going on if there's already like inside jokes or information they're referring back to and things like that. So when we receive emails or questions about, hey, can I jump into alpha after week 3, we say, hey, you know, it'd probably be best if you went for the following course that we're going to be running. Here's the date. But we never give anyone a hard no. We've had people join the second to last week without asking. They just show up and we're like, okay, great. Well, we welcome them. That you can't really avoid. But when it comes to actual conversations being had, we pretty much do week 3 as the cutoff.
Yeah.
I will highlight while we're here, we've got Nicole Sidebottom who is on the call. Hi, Nicole. And Nicole is one of our church relationship coordinators, and she ran a really cool alpha. I wish I would have been able to see it when she did it in a brewery in Denver, and had a great crowd. And so when we talk about, you know, promoting, I think when you are in a more missional context like that, your promotion really has to rely on people inviting. And but if you ever have questions on how somebody did that, Nicole would be a great person to talk to. And we'll actually, I think we have plans for an entire call that's dedicated to running alpha in, like, outside the walls of the church in creative spaces like that. So we're gonna have several people talk about their experience running it in bars or running it in YMCAs or different places that are kind of fun.
Nicole, do you have like a 2-drink maximum in those locations?
You know, the night that we ended up running our alpha, it just so happened that when you bought a meal, you had a free beer. So it, you know, everybody had at least one.
That's fun. Well, very good. Well, everybody, I just want to say,
Kurt, did you want to say something?
Well, I was just curious. You referred to somebody who created the social media posts to kind of serve them up for their team. Who did that? And I'd love to, steal a little bit.
Yes,
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's
from?
still in the works. It's from Vintage Church. It's actually one of our newest hub directors. But I can reach out to Beth and see if that's something that she'd be willing to share or just throw up on the Hub Church Facebook page once they have that together. The way that she just emailed me, because she was supposed to be on the call, and she said, she got pulled away, but I think that they're still finishing that up.
And if any of you, if any of you develop resources like that, that's what this whole network is for, is to share resources, share what's working. Don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with the rest of the group. And even if you post something, be like, hey, I was kind of proud of this. This looks good, or it looks good to us. It may spark an idea, and somebody will be like, oh, we could totally do that. And so utilize the Facebook group. You can throw things up there, and also the SharePoint group that we're creating. We're going to be sharing some of the new training materials with you on. We'll make sure to send out that link. But hey, we are at time. So thank you everybody for checking in this week, and God bless you. Let me pray real quick. Lord, we need more of you. We need more of your Spirit. We want to recognize we can do nothing apart from Jesus. And so we just rely completely upon you. Would you bless every person on our call today, all of our hub churches across the country? Lord, would they have miraculous alphas this fall? We pray for the hundreds of people that will come to know you, thousands really, that will come to know you through these churches. And we just pray, Lord, that you would protect the fruit from the enemy. Protect each of them in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless, guys.